Today's episode is a special episode dedicated to the people out there who may be feeling a little bit lonely on their journey. I want you to know that I totally understand you, and I hope that I can give you some words of encouragement. You're listening to episode 27 of
The Gold Mine Podcast.
As women, we have to invest that time in getting to understand who we are.
Be ambitious, be bold, create the life of your dreams. This is the Gold Mine Podcast with your host, Adrian Dion.
Hey you guys, thanks so much for joining me for another episode on the Gold Mine Podcast. Today is October 2nd. We are officially in the fourth quarter of the year. That means we're on the home stretch. We're almost at the end. And so this time I feel like is the best time to be tying up loose ends. You definitely don't want to be taking any of the, goals and things that you have for this year into 2019. So it's time to double down, grind, and make sure you complete things this year. Also, this time of the year is a great time to be planning for next year. You know, kind of what you want to do in 2019, the type of goals you want to accomplish and set for yourself. So this is a good time to sit down and think about those things, and also think about what you can be doing right now. You don't want to start, if you're starting in January, you're already too late. You want to use this time as wisely as you can to start already preparing for the things that you want to do in 2019. If you want to go on 5 or 6 trips, you don't want to start saving in January. You want to start doing that now. So this is a great time to do that. I'm excited, guys, because I feel like a lot has happened this year. I'm excited for what's to come in 2019. And perhaps that might not have been the case for you, but I want to remind you that you are so much further than where you were at the beginning of the year. No matter how the year started or ended or is ending for you, if you're wanting some strength. I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, the Blessed and Bossed Up podcast, and she was just saying, for those who just may be needing more energy, more willpower to finish out the year, to just think back on how far you've come. Think about the victories you've had over the past year, and it should give you a lot of strength. And then I was listening to one of my favorites, Joel Osteen, and he was saying the same thing. There was a sermon called By This I Know, and he was just talking about when he kind of gets discouraged or need energy to finish something, he just thinks about how God has brought him out in so many other instances, and it really just boosts his faith and his energy. So I was like, okay, God, I hear you. So I want to encourage you for to do the same thing. Just think about how far you've come and how a lot of the things that you wanted at the beginning of the year, you've already accomplished, you already have now. And so you just use that energy to continue on for this year and to plan for another amazing year next year. All right, let's get into the show. So last week I was reading and came across a quote, and I posted it on IG, and I said, you guys, it really spoke to me. And so I was like, you guys, I'm thinking about doing a podcast on it. What do you guys think? And a lot of you were like, yes, do a podcast on it. And so today that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start out by reading it. It says, when you live an authentic life and speak your truth, you must be prepared to trigger others who are not. The more real you are, the more you upset those wearing masks. Pay no attention to the projections. Keep doing you no matter what. Stay on your own path. And this quote really resonated with me on so many different levels. And I think it's because for most of my life, I struggled with understanding the negativity that I receive from other people. To be honest, it wasn't until I learned that a person's opinion or what a person says and does has everything to do with them and nothing to do with me that I really began to truly understand what was really going on. I know a lot of times people say, be you, even if that means not, going with the crowd and stuff like that. But sometimes that can be a really lonely road. And so today I want to talk to those people out there who may be feeling alone on your journey. You know, many of us have desires for individuality and adventure, and we have big goals and dreams that we are destined to fulfill. But you have to understand that honoring and pursuing those desires sometimes come with a cost. I want to talk to the people out there who, not only feeling like you're alone on your journey, but you feel that it's hard for you to relate to most people. You've always felt like an outsider for most of your life, and you really don't understand why there are so many people who seem to dislike you for no reason. Now, I'm not talking about haters and people just hating. I'm not like talking on that level. Like, I'm being extremely serious about the situation. I'm talking about people who misconstrue your spirit of excellence with being an overachiever. Those people who think you're bougie because you rather go without than settle for mediocre. People who think that you're just being difficult when you aren't interested in following the crowd. Or people who think that you're seeking attention just because your God-given talents seem to always make room for you. A lot of times when we experience things like this, we often want to apologize for who we are or our talents, or you want to kind of just, hide things that you possess, the things that you are good at, because you want to fit in, because you want to belong. What you must realize is that there are so many people who just aren't brave enough to be who they are. They're afraid to believe. They're afraid of what people may say, so they don't take risks. They're afraid to take a chance on their dreams. And so when you do it, when you step outside of the box, you remind them of that fear. You remind them of what they are not doing, and it scares them. It scares them because they think that if you make it, if you achieve your goals, then that means they have no excuse. Because in reality, you are just like them. The only difference is that by taking action, you aren't allowing fear to keep you stagnant and paralyzed. Now, I don't want to confuse it or make it seem like I'm saying there's something wrong with you wanting to fit in or wanting to be able to relate to people. That's not what I'm saying. We naturally have a desire for a relationship. That's just how we were made. We have our humanness has this sense and desire for belonging. It's something that we're all wanting. We want to belong. But if you aren't careful, you'll find yourself using all of your energy trying to fit in or trying to get everyone else to like you because of that desire. The quote says, "Pay no attention to the projections." For me, that meant don't let the image on the surface bother you. Realize that this is a tactic. This is actually a tactic from Satan trying to distract you. He brings all of this stuff to our minds and the forefront of our minds to make us feel alone and to feel misunderstood. And while we're somewhere trying to figure out why such and such just doesn't like me or having a pity party, your assignment, the things, the ideas, the talents that God has given you, they're lying dormant. God made you different for a reason. And so you have to realize that your naysayers are afraid that you will show them up, show their insecurities and their flaws. That is their problem. It's not your problem. You shouldn't decrease who you are to satisfy someone else. By being real and by being who you are, you're actually doing them a favor. You're exposing them, and that's exactly what they need. Have you ever been around somebody who seemed to only start doing something after you started doing it? I mean, the whole copycat thing is like, now she was not even thinking about going into this industry until she saw me doing it, But what you need to realize is that because of you doing, you will ignite other people to do. I want to encourage you to own that gift and to embrace the influence God has given you. You've been given that influence for a reason, and if you don't use it, God will use someone else. So the big thing that I want you to remember is never apologize for who you are or for your gifts in order to make other people feel comfortable. Because in the end, if you do that, you will be the one suffering with regret. Now, a lot of times I've had situations where, I accomplish something, or, I tell people about something that, really good that happened, and I was expecting a certain type of response, or expecting them to be happy for me, and they weren't. And I would talk to other people about it, and it's just like, man, I don't understand why wouldn't they be, happy for me? If it was them, I would have been happy for them. Or you may tell someone about a big idea that you have, and they're like, oh, okay, cool, And I've talked to people about it, and they'll always give that advice of like, just find you some new people. Surround yourself with like-minded people. And that's a lot easier said than done. And I say that because a lot of the times it's our friends and our close family that gives us the pushback and gives us the negativity. And I don't think that it's done on purpose or the intent is to harm us. They're really trying to protect us. If we're coming with this big idea and they're just not able to see it, they're like, I don't know about that. They don't want you to go out there and fail. And that's the whole thing. They just can't see the vision. But the vision wasn't given to them for a reason. It was given to you for a reason, not them. And that's okay. Seeking out positive, like-minded people is a job within itself. And making a habit of just running from adversity, changing friends every time someone doesn't agree with you, or if they don't believe in what you're doing, that's not going to serve you either. So what do you do when you're surrounded by naysayers or, people that are just triggered by your authenticity? Well, I want to remind you that the only thing someone else believing in you will do for you is make you believe in yourself more. And when you believe in yourself more, your mindset shifts. And as a result, you achieve the goal because you actually took action to get those results. That's the only thing that happens when someone else believes in you or whatever you're doing. Learn to take out the middleman and believe in yourself no matter what. No matter if nobody else believes in you, learn to just trust and believe in yourself. You don't have to have everyone on board with you for you to succeed. And it's great to have a support team, but don't let the lack thereof determine whether you'll be successful or not. Don't let it determine whether you will show up in the world and be all of who you are instead of who others would like you to be. Furthermore, I don't want you to associate being alone on your journey as a bad thing. I want you to know that life, all of this, everything that we are experiencing, the naysayers, the obstacles, the failures, the no's, the yeses, all of those things show up in your life for a purpose. And so I want you to look at your journey as a mirror of who you are. What are these things here to do for you? They're here to make you better. So what is it that you need to learn from the situation? You may be alone on this journey right now because other people with you may be distractions for you. This time alone may be for you to learn a little bit more about who you are, and you're not ready to have other people around. Maybe you are alone because you need to see God's glory. And if there were so many other people around you, pushing you, giving you advice, and doing things for you, you would account your success to them. And then most importantly, I always remember the law of attraction. That which is like unto itself is drawn. If there are a lot of people around you who don't believe in you, what does that say about you? Do you believe in yourself? Because you're attracting other people who aren't believing in you. Know that you carry an energy. And so whatever you're giving off, that's showing up in the world. That's what you're going to experience in your life. Sometimes I was listening to Myleik Teele a podcast. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but anyway, a lot of times she'll answer questions, like people will write in. I think it was the one about friends. And so this girl wrote in and she was saying how she was single. She had a bunch of friends who were all single, but over the past year, they're now all in relationships, and she's still the only single one. And she was saying how she felt like they were kind of, pushing her off because, she didn't have a relationship, and how she was spending all her time like doing things and posting on Instagram to show her friends that she was still having a good time. Like she wasn't, she wasn't sad, she wasn't like lonely and stuff like that. Well, she was using all her energy to prove something that was a lie to her friends because of what she thought her friends thought about her, when in essence it was what she thought about herself, that she thought that she couldn't have fun and enjoy life because she was single, and that they were having such an amazing life because they had someone. That whatever we're experiencing or feeling about ourselves, that's what we're going to experience. And so if you are feeling negative about you being lonely on this journey, I beg you to take some time to assess those negative emotions. Figure out if it's something inside of you that is drawing those negative feelings, those negative emotions, because when you're trying to accomplish something, it's going to take some sacrifices. And if you aren't okay with that, you're not going to ever be able to accomplish those things. You have to get comfortable with knowing that everybody's not going to always believe in you, that there are some people that are just not going to get who you are, and that's okay, and that you don't diminish who you are trying to fit in with all these other people, trying to satisfy their vision for your life. That is not who you were called to be. I want to encourage you that this is all a part of the process. The greater the call, the greater the sacrifice. But make sure that you're not adding to it by your negative energy. Because if you're just not being yourself or, being something for other people to like you, guess what? You're going to be drawing those type of people around you as well. But if you're being who you are and being real with, everything that you want to do and your desires and the way that you carry yourself, you're going to also attract those types of people to you as well. Keep your focus. Don't be distracted by the negativity. Continue to be who you are and be all of who you are. And you will continue to win every single time. That is all I have for you today, friends. I hope this really encouraged you to know that this journey, this lonely journey, it may be lonely right now, but it doesn't always have to be a bad thing. I want you guys to really get comfortable with who you are. You don't always have to have everybody around and everybody believing in you. Learn to love you. Learn to believe in you no matter what. Look at life as a mirror. And if you aren't liking something that you're experiencing, start with you first. Start with changing you first. All right, friends, I hope that you have an amazing rest of the week. If you haven't already rated and reviewed the show, please do so. I would really appreciate it. And I look forward to talking, actually. I can't talk today. I look forward to talking to you guys next week. Bye.